Hey everyone, Robert here, and welcome back to the channel, or if it's your first time, welcome. In today's video, I want to go over a powerful new feature that Wix Studio just released, and that's the ability to be able to schedule appointments directly through your Wix forms. I've always been a big proponent of allowing visitors to be able to book directly through your website and schedule appointment, as opposed to the more traditional contact form where someone fills out the information and they have to wait for a reply. Even me personally, if I have the ability to be able to book directly through a site, I much more prefer that than filling out my information and then maybe waiting to see when someone's going to get in contact with me. Allowing people to book directly through the website turns those visitors into direct customers. It's a nicer, cleaner user experience. Plus, also, if your competitors are offering it and you're not, those particular clients might be more likely to go with them rather than you. So with that, I want to go ahead and show you how to add this to your Wix forms, how to manage these appointments, and a few other things here and there along the way. So with that, let's go ahead and let's dive right in. Before jumping in though, I do want to highlight a few things as mentioned in the support article. The article might be a good place as well if there's any questions that come up during the video that I might not answer, though I believe I'm going through everything in the FAQ. However, I do want to mention, as noted here, before starting, you do want to install Wix Bookings. I'll show you where that is if you're unfamiliar with it, but you also do need to upgrade your site to be able to do this. On my site right now, I have just the basic plan, so you don't need a payment gateway to do this. Any of the plans will work. Also, this does work on the Wix editor, though I'm using this for Wix Studio specifically. With that being said, though, about the payment gateway, note that this is for free consultations or meetings through your website, not paid ones. You are able to take paid consultations and bookings, though if you do want to do that, I'll probably showcase a little bit later in the video how you would set that up. But this is meant for free consultation and bookings while users are filling out the form. They don't necessarily have to go through a payment gateway to do that. I think that's actually a lot better if that's what you wanted to do. But if you are wanting compensation for these consultations, you might maybe want to do a slightly different setup, which I'll probably try to show later in the video. So let's actually jump now into the editor and I'll show you how to set this all up. To demo out the feature, I did go ahead and create a test site. As usual, I created this using the pre-built sections within Wix Studio. I was showcasing this just to showcase if you want to go ahead and create things really quickly, like I usually like doing for the purpose of these videos. Makes things a lot easier, gets the workflow done a lot faster while having a really nice design. I did add a few little things while testing out things, but if you do want to go ahead and get started within Wix Studio, again, this is a great place to start. All of these are designed set up for multiple breakpoints on desktop, tablet, and mobile, and creates some really nice designs. So not to get too much into that and to go down into the section itself with the form. But again, you can see I have here on all about us section, services, and a contact form. So for this, I just used the footer example that's down here. I just split the cell in half and I dragged in the form. If there's any confusion about the forms in particular, I have a video which I'll try to link here in the card. If you want to learn all about the 3 different Wix forms, because there are the new forms, the old forms, and you can always make input forms as well. But this feature is available for the newer Wix forms, not the old forms. So make sure you don't select this if you want to use this feature. But here I just added this contact one, the contact us here specifically. I just dragged it into the page. And I've already customized it a little bit while testing this out. I'll show you some of the customizations that I made, but let's go ahead and preview so we can see what it looks like. So again, for the most part, this is how most people I feel have contact forms on their sites. Cool, what's your name, what's your last name, what's your email, what's your phone number, and then give us a message about what it is. Sometimes maybe people put in a drop down. Sometimes people put radio buttons as to what is the work? What is it that you're contacting us about? What is it specifically that you need? For this one, and I'll show you how I did this, but I decided to add the appointment form. But I also only wanted to do it if someone was ready to meet right now. So I added a radio button. Are you ready to meet now? I had yes or no, but no seems silly to do. If it's like no, then they're just putting no for no reason. But I have, if they are ready to meet, then this calendar shows up and they can choose which times they want to meet up. I messed around with the availability of this because I wanted to demo and show you how you can set this up if maybe you're unfamiliar with Wix bookings. So I do recommend check out our video about going into all of Wix bookings. But again, you can see here I have some slots that you can kind of meet up, try to put some limited availability. But okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were available. And again, this does go on ad infinitum, but you can limit this. I usually recommend that because it's unlikely someone might want to meet up with you 7 months from now. Again, most likely no one's going through that way, but I've seen that on some Calendly links where, you know, they don't have an end limit. Someone can meet with you next year. I find that a little silly. But let me show you how I added this now that we've seen this here. So first things first, again, if you don't already have the form, it can be added in form contact and forms. You can also search for form and that should work as well. And as mentioned in the support article and earlier in the video, you do need to have Wix bookings installed. So if you don't already have it, you can click here, bookings. It'll add the application, some pages as well with it. It'll probably add a members page as well. So just a fair bit of warning because then users can log in and choose their information. If you're only going to use it for the contact form, you can always remove the notification for people to sign in because you're going to have all the contact information through the form, hopefully. Here is also where I do want to mention, if you wanted a paid consultation, you can set this up. I'm not going to go into setting up the bookings and all of that information. Again, we have a video for that. If you did have a consultation that you wanted to do and be paid for, this might actually be a little bit better where you want to do, where you can either do a service list, a book button, have a weekly timetable, the next availability, the agenda, calendar. Again, it depends kind of how you want to set it up. Or if you just want to do featured service, show the consultation, and allow people to book that in there. So with this, once the form is added, we'll go to edit form. And again, I already have it on mine, but you'll see it actually as a drop down here where it says scheduling, or you can scroll down and it'll walk you through the categories that are available. So again, once you add scheduling, let me unhide this really quick here so we can see how this looks. But it'll populate this calendar already set up. You don't have much in terms of the design of the calendar, but most of that will be determined how the form actually is set up and the design for the forms. But let me go then into the settings for the form and for the appointment field specifically. So you can change what the field title is. You can have up to 255 characters. If you want to put what the appointment name is. This is actually really more so for the communication for how you see it on your end and how clients see it. I will show probably like an email of what they can kind of expect for this to look like. Again, if maybe you don't want to use the word consultation, maybe you want to use meeting, maybe you want to use discovery call, whatever you want to use internally in your calendar and for the clients to see, this is where you would want to change it. Again, the field title will show as it's pointed here, schedule an appointment. That's what that would change. You can also decide how long you want these to be. So you can do from 15 minutes to 2 hours. That seems perfectly reasonable to me. I don't know if you would want like a 3-hour consultation call. At that point, I would hope you were getting paid for it, or always maybe then just schedule for a later time. But you can set these up. This just changes the amount of blocks then that this sets up based on your calendar. So if I did, let's say 45 minutes, it might not preview here immediately, but if I did 1 hour, it'll do those blocks specifically. So you can see it changed from 10 to 11, from 11 to 12. So it did change up those times. We do 2. It might take a second for it to populate, but you'll see the times change from there. Here's the interesting things then where you can set up a phone call, an online meeting, whether it's in person. If you do want to do a custom link specifically, let's say because Zoom is the only one that integrates specifically and is creating unique URLs, you can log into your Zoom account. If you want to do a custom link like I did, I just threw in a Google Meet one here. If you want to add the password, you can, and then put the description. This will be then useful for what the clients see and understanding what the call is. The important thing I think here as well is setting up the staff. In my instance, for this example website, I'm only myself. But I did want to do this in a way where, okay, well, I don't want to be available for all of the working hours. Maybe I only take consultations very specific days. So what I did, and again, I'm not going to go probably too much in depth into it, but I do want to explain this because I think this might be useful if you're a freelancer or a solopreneur. As you can see here, I have a drop down that says Rob. And you can see my availability normally is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But Rob consultation is only available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. In this scenario, I'm not taking consultations on Fridays. But I still do work Fridays if maybe I have a meeting specifically that I want to do. Again, especially since these are free consultations that you're doing, I can understand if you want to have different availability. What you can do then is in your calendar, add a staff member maybe just for these kind of things, and then just set it up that way. Again, I'll probably showcase that in a second if I come here to the forms, but let me finish these settings first. Again, you can decide if this is a required field. In my situation, I didn't put it as required because, again, I'm adding a option if people want to meet. If they are ready to meet, then this will fill out. Field description really will just be, again, if you want to give people more information about this. In my case, I think it's pretty simple. And then PII, whether anything in here is going to be personally identifiable. I don't think this is a case for this, but the options here, I guess, for whatever reason you might want to do. In advance, this is actually kind of cool because you can decide whether you want to automatically confirm every appointment. Again, this is based on the availability that you're setting up. So ideally, you can automatically confirm every appointment, but if you want to manually approve them, feel free to do so. You can then you'll get an email letting you know, hey, on the calendar, someone wanted to meet. Do you want to? And then you can decide if you want to meet or not. Then the last thing is you can actually sync this to a calendar. You can do an Outlook one, a Google one, or an Apple one. So if you want to sync this with a personal calendar, if you block out any time in those calendars, then this will block out time here. Likewise, if you're automatically confirming any appointments, then it'll block out the time in those calendars to let you know. Field keys, not necessarily important, but this might be useful if you're going to do any automations with this. But if you do need it, if you are a little familiar with the automations, this would be where you see the field keys. I guess maybe just before jumping into the backend and the management of I do just want to highlight how I set up the availability for this. So in the video about Wix forms and all of the different forms, I mentioned that rules are something you can add to Wix forms. So I set one up here. I'm going to delete this and re-add it again. Pretty simple and straightforward. I love the UI for this. So you can decide to add a rule. You can also ask the AI about rules, and I think it'll just help you set it up. In this case, I have, are you ready to meet? If it's equal to yes, you can also add multiple conditions, but I'm only going to leave it like this. Then schedule an appointment is shown. And since it's not already hidden, it gives me the option to like hide it automatically, save the rule. And again, if I preview this, we can see, again, this only shows up if people are ready to meet. And then all the times will show up. So perfect. Let me leave these changes here. I'm not going to mess with them. And let me show you now how this all looks like then on the calendar once everything's confirmed, and then also what your clients can expect to see. With all that set up now, I do want to showcase the backend, and I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I do want to explain it a little bit just in case if this is the first exposure that you have to it. Again, I do recommend the bookings form video that we have because I think it goes a little bit more in depth. But if you want to see how this looks, so now that the appointments have been set up, you'll see here is on the back end under booking calendar, you can see an actual calendar and you'll see all of the appointments here. Again, if they're not already accepted, you can decide whether you want to accept or decline these. There's also some really cool information here like analytics and activity based on all of this, but we won't get too in depth here. I do just want to showcase what it looks like when someone books. So on your end, you will see the information on here. Again, whether it's booked, if you want to check in, or there are no show, you can decide. Again, you'll see what's the date. If you needed some of the form information, you'll see it all here. So depending on how you fill out the form or how you ask clients to fill out the form, you can see the name, email, again, the scheduled appointment, what the message is specifically. So in this case, I asked myself, I want to discuss making a cool design. And again, depending on who is set up to the forms, you can do this. So I set this one up later. Again, form for the most part is still the same information. So I just put like just testing this out, and that's what you can kind of see. Now you can see the out of office. I set this up initially to do this and kind of test things out. But for the staff member that you have assigned to those appointments, if you do block out time, if you have a secondary appointment, because this is using Wix bookings, it'll block things out. So again, on the May 8th, if I set this back up to, okay, well, Rob is doing the consultations, then in that case, it's not going to schedule anyone for the 8th. The system is taking that into account and blocking off that time in the calendar, therefore blocking off the availability for that. And this is really cool because I have seen a few people go through and make their own Wix bookings forms. If you use like the API for this kind of stuff, it doesn't necessarily take this into account. You would probably have to manually block off some of those dates or do a lot of work doing that. This is actually pretty straightforward in that manner. So I do just want to showcase again what that looks like for the clients on their emails. I have one here for the one that I set up before. So again, they get kind of a similar display as well. So again, you'll see their details, or they'll see what they filled out. They'll get the consultations. They'll get the link as well as to where they need to meet. You get the information as to where this meeting has happened. So it'll look very similar like this for them. Now, as for setting up the staff member, again, if you're a solopreneur or a freelancer and you do want to take advantage of this, but you don't want it to be tied to your availability, what I did is I added a new staff member. You can put out any details that you really want and then just adjust the working hours. So these hours can be different for the business itself versus each individual laborer. So again, that's how I was able to have, okay, Monday through Fridays is when we work, but for consultations, I'm only available Monday through Thursdays. Fridays, I'm not going to take a consultation in this example. So again, once you do that and that's set up, then you can see the work schedule. You can also customize things here if you want, if that's a little bit easier. But I can just come here and say, okay, well, maybe remove Mondays. I don't want to do Mondays anymore. It'll say that this won't be available. So if there's a session there, that's fine. And now, okay, consultations are only going to happen Tuesday through Thursday. And again, that's how you would go about setting this up and making sure that someone is available for these kind of things. With that, I think that's kind of everything for this. Any additional questions about this, definitely let me know in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me below, either in the communities, or feel free to message me in Discord as well. But yeah, with that, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it, and have a good rest of the day. Bye for now.